Hi, today we have entered into the fourth unit of our NLP subject, and we're talking about semantic parsing. So, what we have covered so far, we have seen morphological parsing in the first unit, then syntactical parsing in the second unit, and third unit also. So, semantic parsing, a part of that we have covered in the third unit, and now we are into the fourth unit of the semantic parsing. So, in the previous unit of semantic parsing, we have seen what are the requirements for semantic parsing, and we have seen word sense disambiguation, the resources, the systems, and the software. That is our pattern in the given textbook. We'll be talking about resources first, then we'll move on to see different types of systems, rule-based, supervised, semi-supervised, and hybrid method. Then we'll see briefly about the softwares that are used in that particular problem. Uh, so remember, semantic parsing involves dealing with what we say understanding the meaning and representing it in a form where that can be manipulated by the computer. So semantic parsing is also known as semantic role labeling, and we have seen what is deep parsing, what is shallow parsing. Now, so we'll start with predicate argument structure. So, to understand the meaning of a particular sentence, what we need to understand the predicate or the verb in the given sentence. A predicate is a verb which defines the sentence, and predicate argument structure it plays a key role because it gives the framework or the context. What we mean by context, who did it, what has been done, to whom it has been done, when it was done, where it was done, why it was done, these things and how it is done, it is given, that information is given by predicate argument structure. So, predicate is a verb which deals with the action. For example, if you take a sentence, John gave Mary a book. There, the predicate is gave, and the agent is who gave, and recipient who received it, Mary, and the theme, what was given, a book. This is known as predicate argument structure. So here predicate is gave and the arguments are who gave it, to whom it was given, and what was given. This predicate argument structure, the role of that in semantic role labeling is, firstly, that predicate argument structure helps in identifying the semantic roles. Agent, who is the agent, who is the doer of the action, and what is the who is the patient subject of that action, and what is the theme, what was done, entity affected, then what is who is the experiencer, what is the instrument, what is the location, what is the time. These are all semantic role labeling. Then secondly, whenever we talk about words, certainly we are dealing with ambiguity in most of the chapters. So, predicate argument structure secondly deals with disambiguating the meaning. Verbs will have different meaning in different contexts. For example, she ran the company means here ran means managing, not physical running. That ambiguity will be resolved using predicate argument structure. And thirdly, the predicate argument structure helps in supporting the machine understanding. So, semantic role labeling or semantic parsing is the process in which we convert the given input text into machine understandable and mission readable, machine manageable format. So in NLP, like applications like question answering, machine translation, chatbots, information extraction. So the predicate, knowing the predicate and its arguments will allow us to understand the sentence meaning more accurately. So there are different approaches to semantic role labeling, and they will be dealing with the different levels and different granularity. So let us start with again the same structure. First, we'll deal with resources, then we'll deal with the systems, then we'll deal with the software. So the topic we are going to see now is the resources for predicate argument structure. If you remember in the previous word sense disambiguation, when we talked about the resources, we talked about the word net. And now for the predicate argument structure, we are going to talk about two resources in this class. Number one is FrameNet, another is PropBank. So this is an important question even in the examination point of view, and to understand what is FrameNet, what is PropBank, and what are the differences between these two and how they are helpful in semantic role labeling. So FrameNet is a lexical database containing words in as a semantic frame. We'll see what is a semantic frame shortly. These semantic frames, they explain the context. So the key idea here is if you want to understand a word, you have to understand the situation around that. See, whenever we assume a word, for example, you talk about a word, your mind will give a context or a frame to it. Suppose if I say the COVID, immediately the words that come into your picture is pandemic, hospital, oxygen cylinders, vaccine. These are the words that will be triggered by talking about the COVID. So similarly, whenever we take a predicate, a frame will be instantiated. The frame will contain all the related contextual words. So let us understand what is frame. Frame is a structured representation of a typical situation or event. It describes what kind of situation is happening, what are the roles involved, who are playing the roles, and what relationships exist between the participants. That is a frame. So, for example, you give a sentence that I have bought groceries today. So that bot will initiate or will instantiate a frame called commercial transaction. That commercial transaction may typically, that frame, that is the name of the frame, that may typically include the buyer, the seller, and the which was sold or purchased goods and the payment money. So the words that evoke or instantiate whenever we come across buy or sell or pay, charge, cost, spend, receive, such words will invoke this commercial transaction frame. So there will be a lot of frames in FrameNet database. Secondly, every frame will have frame elements. Uh, That means participants or rules. For example, commercial transaction frame. Who are the key players? Buyer, seller, goods, money. These are known as frame elements. For example, if you have a sentence, John bought a laptop from Mike for 50,000. So the bought is the verb predicate which will which will evoke the commercial transaction frame. And the frame elements in this sentence are John, the buyer, laptop, the good, and the seller, Mike, and the money, 50,000. These are frame elements. What we have seen, what is the frame? Frame is a structured representation of a typical situation or event. Then, what are the different frame elements? And thirdly, we will understand one more concept before we proceed further, lexical unit. FrameNet has lexical units. What is a lexical unit? Lexical unit is a word which is lemma and its meaning in context. That means the frame. So the combination of word and its frame is known as a lexical unit. So we know that even in word sense disambiguation, we have seen that the words are polysemous or homonymous. They have multiple meanings. FrameNet handles that by associating every word with its frame. For example, let us take break. Break will have different meanings in different contexts. Suppose the sentence, he broke the vase. Then break means causing it to fragments. Then she broke the law. Then it is talking about the compliance frame. So break in this sentence will evoke cause to fragment frame. Break in this sentence will evoke compliance frame. So two lexical units we have here. So break, cause to fragment. This is one lexical unit and this is another lexical unit. So these are known as lexical units. You can say that FrameNet consists of many lexical units. And FrameNet will have annotated sentences, thousands of sentences, where the annotation consists of what is the predicate, then what is the frame that is evoked, and what are the frame elements played by the constituents. So FrameNet provides a frame-specific semantic annotation for many English predicates. It has tagged senses extracted from British National Corpus, which is one of the famous corpus. The annotation process is a three-step process. Firstly, we have to identify the semantic frame which will be invoked by the predicate, and creating a set of frame elements or the roles which are specific to the frame. Then select a set of predicates that instantiate the semantic frame, regardless of their grammatical category, even verb or noun or adjective, they can evoke that frame. Then labeling sentences, how these predicates work within the frame. This is the process of annotation. So the labeling process that requires identifying, the first step is identifying the frame. The second step is appropriate frame elements are to be identified. Then we need a lemma and associated frame that we call as a lexical unit, and we will use the lexical unit in identifying or annotating the given sentence. For example, awareness frame, just like commercial frame, we have awareness frame. For example, sentence, we believe it is a fair and generous price. The believe, that word predicate, will invoke awareness frame. Here, the who is believing? We. We believe. That is the cognizer, the person holding the belief. And what he is believing? that it is fair and generous price. That is the content. These are the different rules that are being played. For example, if you take another sentence, no doubts existed as to our comprehension of it. Comprehension is a noun predicate and it will also invoke the same awareness frame. Verb can initiate the same frame, noun also can initiate or instantiate rather that particular frame. So frame awareness will have a cognizer, will have a content, will have evidence, topic, degree, manner, expressive, role, phenomena, and practice. So awareness frame includes not only verbs but also the words derived from the verb, which are nouns, which are called nominalizations. So FrameNet at present version is R1.5, includes 173,000 predicate instances covering 8,000 frame elements from 1,000 frames from British National Congress. So it is very large, and it, some frames may be common for different frames. Frame elements may be common for different frames. This is the first resource. What is FrameNet? FrameNet is consisting of lexical units. What is a lexical unit? Combination of word and its frame. What is a frame? Frame is a situation or event represented structurally. So it represents frames. Then the second resource that is used in predicate argument structure in semantic role naming is PropBank, which is a short form of proposition bank. It is a particular domain specific. It has been worked on, it has been constituted based on Wall Street Journal part of Penn Tree Bank. If you remember, in previous chapters, we talked about tree banks, dependency tree bank, tree structure tree bank. There we talked about the famous tree bank known as Penn Tree Bank. So the prop bank or proposition bank, it is not, it will not talk about the frames and frame elements, but it talks about arguments. Arguments. Every verb is annotated with its arguments. So there frames, frame elements, lexical unit, here arguments. Arguments are two categories. One is core arguments, another is non-core or adjunctive arguments. Generally, in this prop bank, there is a notation of labeling the arguments with arg and number n, ranging from 0 to 5, arg 0, arg 1, arg 2, arg 3, arg 4, arg 5, totally 6. And the most important one are two are the zero, which is the proto agent, the subject or doer of the action, and arg1, proto patient, the receiver of the object of the action. And for example, if you have a verb operate, operation means working. So here arg0 is who is working, the entity operating, and arg1 on which it is operation, the machine is being off, that is a patient. For example, if you have a verb adhur, adhar means writing. So arg0, the person who is authoring or writing, and arg2, which he is authoring. Some words may not have all the arg labels, but arg0 and arg1 will be compulsory. They may not have arg2, arg3, arg4, so on. Apart from this core arguments, there are adjunctive arguments. Adjunctive arguments. Shall we see all these six arguments? Let me check it out. Let me give you core arguments are arg0 to arg5. Okay, we'll see that. Then adjunctive arguments are labeled as argn and x, where x denotes different types of adjunct. Something like temporal, TMP temporal, when it happened, LOC location, MNR manner, CAU cause. So these are the common adjunctive labels. So what we are seeing, core arguments, six arguments, arg0 to arg5. Then adjunctive arguments, which will describe it further more. So not only manner, or ARGM, DIR will give direction, DIS discourse, EXT extent, PRP purpose, NEG negation, MOD model, REC reciprocal, PRD secondary predication, then ADV adverbial. So these are the different adjunctive arguments. Then, for example, here, if you take the sentence, he operated the machine in 1999 in the city, then the core arguments to arg0, who operated it, he, arg1, which was operated, machine, and uh, when is 1999, location in the city. So this is how we will be uh, storing the predicate information in the prop bank. So these are the list of all that. So LOC location, TMP van, MNR banner, DIR direction, CAU cause, DIS discourse, EXT to the extent, PRP purpose, NEG negation, MOD model, REC reciprocal, PRD secondary prediction. If you take a sentence in PropBank tagging, for example, the sentence is it operates stores mostly in Iowa and Nebraska. So, what is arg0? Who is operating? That is it. Then predicate is operates, and which is being operated, stores. That is argument 1. Where it is argument M, that is location, LOC location is Iowa and Nebraska. Extend may be mostly. So there are, apart from core arguments and adjunctive arguments, in prop bank there will be some other arguments. Some are known as co-referential arguments. They don't have any uh, items, but they will just simply refer to other something else in the sentence. For example, John said he would help. Here he refers to the subject of the help. So it is co-referential with John. Then there are another argument called discontiguous arguments. Remember, prop bank is domain specific to the country bank. But sometimes, very rarely, in 1 or 2% of the cases, there will be disagreement between the annotators of the country bank and annotators of the prop bank. In such cases, PropBank annotators may be assigned the argument to a sequence of nodes rather than a single node. Such type of arguments are known as discontiguous arguments that are relatively rare. For example, he gave the book to Mary and the pen to John. The book to Mary and the pen to John, they form complex arguments, so the prop bank may marks both parts together as one argument, whereas country bank may mark it as a different argument. So each verb in prop bank is assigned a frame set. Their lexical unit here frame set. So different senses of the verb operate one sense, operate two sense. This will this will be the frame set. For example, for verb talk, the first sense talk means speaker, topic. Another sense, talk means persuading. He talked to him to go to picnic. That is persuading. That is the second sense. So this is how the frame sets will be there. So she talked him to going, or she persuaded him to going. So frame sets are like word senses, but they are broader. So prop bank is a structured way of consistent way to label who did, what has been done, whom, when, where, why, how, with for every verb predicates, and it consists of arguments. Four types of arguments we have seen: core arguments, then adjunctive arguments. These are important ones. Then minor arguments. We have co-referential arguments and dis discontiguous arguments. We have seen. Now let us finish this with the analysis of the present status of the prop bank. Wall Street Journal post of the prop bank contains approximately 1,15,000 predicate instances covering 2,50,000 argument instances, 20 argument types, 5,000 frames. In addition, 18,000 predicates with arguments are annotated with not only Brown's corpus. Then another project Onto Notes has expanded this work to include more and more corpora and various genres. Now let us see the differences between the FrameNet and the frame bank. FrameNet is based on the frame semantics. This is based on the prototype theory. There we have frame elements, lexical units. Here we have the arguments. Then FrameNet focuses on lexical units. PropBank focuses on frame sets, which contains the different senses of the verb. If you remember, verb talk 01, talk 02, and here it will depend on the frames. So the frame net, it covers various grammatical categories, not only the just verbs, but even in the nouns. If you remember, even nouns can instantiate a frame, adjectives, prepositions. So this is a broader sense. But whereas prop bank, it is limited only to verb predicate. That too, not all the verbs, but all the non-copular verbs, action verbs in the Wall Street Journal of the country bank. It is domain specific. Here, FrameNet uses semantic rules like agent, experience, or goal, whereas PropBank uses arguments like arg0, arg1, and core arguments, and then adjunctive arguments like temporal, location, discourse, extent. So here the annotations are done on the spans of the text, the chunks of the words that will fill the frame. Here the annotations are tied to the nodes and syntactic trees from the pen. everything. Each argument must correspond to a syntactic constituent like noun phrase, verb phrase. If you see this noun phrase, verb phrase, propositional phrase, this supports literal and metaphorical use of language. Some, even though there may be some ambiguity, but it tries to stay close to the semantic meaning. But PropBank, it stays with the literal meaning. There is no ambiguity at all. Then FrameNet is more difficult to scale across the languages because it is consists of building frames, but projects like Salsa and Japanese FrameNet have reused this English frames wherever possible. Prop banks require creating new frame files for each language it is applied. So there are many projects who aspired from the prop bank, and those are created for Chinese, Arabic, and Hindi, but they need each manual annotation. So here are the statistics. FrameNet has 1,73,000 predicate instances. Here 1,50,000, 8,000 frame elements, and 1,000 frames. British National Corpus. This is Wall Street Journal of Country Bank. And there are different types of verb classes made by Beth Levin. When they, for example, break and shatter, they both are similar class. So FrameNet frames are also common to particular verbs, but these are strongly connected to Levin classes, particularly the intersective one. So in today's lecture, we understood the resources for predicate argument structure, and we have seen in detail what is prop bank and what is FrameNet, what are the differences, what are the similarities. FrameNet consists of lexical units, word and its sense, frame. In prop bank, we have arguments, core arguments and adjunctive arguments.